Hello? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hi, I can hear you.
Okay, good, 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 good. Okay, how you been, man?
Hi, very well, and you said.
Great, man. Let's get down on it. The cricket. So, yeah, man, the retirements of Ross Taylor and out of the blue, Quinton de Kock. Your brief thoughts on the brief thoughts on Ross Taylor in terms of his career. He had a good test average of 44, ODIs was 48, and T20 and IPL was around on the 25 and 25. So they're pretty much similar averages on those fronts. But how would you rate Ross Taylor in terms of the whole cricketing thing?
Yeah, I think if you have to talk about both retirements, I think the Taylor one is a little bit less, less of a shocker because it's something we probably expected in a way. But the De
Mm-hmm.
Kock one, a bit of a shocker, I must admit. But let's go a little bit into Taylor's career. I mean, this is a guy that started in 2007, I think, and I mean, as a Test player, he's had quite an illustrious career. I would say, as he's been one of the more consistent batters in that New Zealand lineup for quite some time. And I think at one stage he actually overtook the, uh, I think the Test match record for most runs for the Black Caps, and that was obviously held by the late great Martin Crowe. That obviously passed on, and he held that record for a long time, and then Taylor obviously broke that record. I think it was 2 or 3 seasons ago. So that was a fantastic achievement. Breaking the late Martin Crowe's record, and I think his career towards the end, I think probably, he would admit it himself as well. It didn't probably see the best of him, but I think in terms of consistency and especially in home tests as well. He was quite he was one of those batters that really stood up there, And I think if you had to look at his career as a whole, I would go back to earlier this year and the World Test Championship final. I think that is probably the highlight of his career. I would think I would say for most Black Cap players at the moment, that is probably the highlight of their career. So I think it was good that he managed to get that title. So he's actually going out on quite a high year, I would say. You know, playing these last two tests at home against Bangladesh, and I think he can feel satisfied with his career as a whole. He was pretty consistent, and he gave his all for his country.
Yeah, man. Actually, I was looking at his debut. I think it was in a one-dayer against West Indies in 2006, and I think he did his first Test match in 2007. So it's interesting. But yes, I'm
Yeah,
happy for him. At least he'll retire on a high because I don't think New Zealand will lose to Bangladesh, especially at home. So nice way to retire.
yeah. Look, I think he'd probably go down as one of the all-time greats for New Zealand
Hmm.
in especially in the test arena. Definitely one of the all-time greats, along with the likes of
Hmm.
Crow, and we have another great that's still playing at the moment, which is Williamson. So I think when he ends off his career, he'll be one of the all-time greats as well. So yeah, you can definitely
Hmm.
count him as one of the all-time greats for the Black Caps in his Test career. And yeah, I think he was pretty consistent in ODIs as well. But I think the time is right for him. I think he's made the right call. Judging by what I saw in the India series, he played away from home. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure they'll have a competent batter coming in. They seem to have a side that's got all the bases covered. So they should be a better waiting in the wings, to take over from Ross. But well played on a great career.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to the most surprising one, the Kock. He had a test average of 38, ODI 45, and then while I can find he's still going to play the ODI. This is the test matches he's just going to retire. I know you've been harsh on him lately because when I look at his test average of 38, it's not bad, especially for a wicket-keeper batsman. But I think if you probably looking at recent events, yeah, even he'll admit he's not been up to the mark. So I think he's probably made it easier for the selectors in the long run to blood in someone like your favorite Bahrain or Nicol. So, yeah, it is going to be unusual to not see him anymore in the test arena, but I think it's one of those things.
Yeah, I mean, the test average of 38, that's obviously a career average, but I think he'd be the first to say that in the past year or so, we haven't seen the best of him, and that average is probably around 28 for this calendar year, which is, I think, a bit low when it comes to his standards, and we all know what a talent he is. He's one of those. He's probably one of those natural talents that and probably the Proteas really didn't have in years gone by in terms of wicketkeeper batsmen. I think if you had to look back, you had the likes of Dave Richardson and Mark Boucher, very, very gritty players, very nuggety, very brave players, but obviously he didn't have that sort of talent that the Kock has, where he can just come out and play those shots. But I think in terms of his career, there were some highs, there were some lows. I do believe this is the right time for him to obviously
retire.
Part ways with test matches. Obviously test matches need to focus on ODIs, and hopefully we see the inner beast in him unleashed in limited overs cricket. So that might give him a chance to free up. Obviously he's got a young family on the way, and he wants to spend more time. And as a cricketer, I mean, your schedule is quite and it's quite a tough schedule. It really gets to you as a player, because I mean you spend a lot of time away from home, especially if you have a young family now. It's quite a bruising schedule for a cricketer in these times, and then if you have to add the IPL into it, it's quite a lot to take. And yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised. I won't lie to you, but on the flip side, I see it as a positive as well, where you can blood a youngster now, and you can give him that role, and you can back him, because I mean he's going to be there for quite some time now, because he's replacing probably one of the seniors in the team. Although the Kock is not that old, but I think he's one of the seniors, because he's been around for quite some time now. And looking back at his career, I can remember first seeing him in 2013 and in the white ball stuff, and he really started like a house on fire. I mean, in that India series, I mean, he was scoring hundreds at will. I think he scored 3 in a row against India, and I'm just looking at this guy, and I'm thinking to myself, this is somebody that's really, really going to take world cricket by storm. But with international cricket, you have your highs and lows, and I think he went through some of those. But looking at the highlight, I would say the highlight of his career is probably being part of that squad that beat Australia at home 3-1. I think that was quite special, because I mean you had the likes of AB, you had the likes of Morkel, you had the likes of Amla, you had Steyn, you had Philander, you had the big guns. You probably had one of the greats, or some of the greatest players in the past 10 years to don the Protea jersey. So I think the Proteas hadn't beat Australia for a very long time, and I think since readmission they hadn't beat Australia in a Test series at home, and I think beating them in that way and so emphatically, I think he could see that as a highlight in his Test career. There obviously was some other highlights as well. I think century in India in very difficult conditions as well in a test match. But I would think the two victories against Australia, the one away from home in 2016 and the one at home in 2018. I think those are probably the highlights for him as in his test career at the moment. Just being part of those squads, and obviously he did contribute quite a bit as well to some of those victories. So yeah, that would probably be the highlight of his career. And yeah, we obviously wish him well, but we will see him in the white ball stuff. But yeah, I mean, the future is looking quite exciting at the moment because there are some youngsters waiting in the wings that's been carrying drinks for quite some time now, and I think it's time they be given a chance. And yeah, I think you mentioned Verreynne and Rickelton. I would probably think they'll give this position to Verreynne at the moment. Rickelton, I mean, I rate him very highly as well, and I actually do see a future for him in this Protea setup as well as a specialist batter, because he can also keep wicket, but he can also be picked as a specialist batter. So yeah, I mean, it's not an easy situation at the moment in this sort of rebuilding phase, but I think the future looks bright. There seems to be some exciting talent that's going to be unleashed.
Okay, so let's get straight down to the Ashes. It's been a little bit of a funeral series. I said that it shouldn't be called Ashes, it should be called the funeral series, and well, what a way it was. 3-0 to Australia. Didn't expect it to be done so quickly. Kind of reminds me of the day of Nasser Hussain, actually. But though, with due respect, I think Nasser Hussain probably had a better team at his disposal. But yeah, man, it's pretty just depressing. 68 all out. And the fourth test will be on the 5th of January. Everyone is predicting the 5-0 whitewash. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. You know, last week we were discussing this, and you know, we were expecting a fight back from England. But you know, I just want to put it into context. A team that is unsure of their lineup and constantly making changes to personnel. You know they're in deep trouble, and this is what this England side has been from the first delivery of this Ashes. They've been behind the game throughout, and it's been an awful series to watch. It's been really one-sided. Definitely a funeral series, as you said, and I think the word Ashes really sums it up, because I think the England side have really been burnt to ashes at the moment by this relentless Australian bowling lineup. I mean, what a spell from Scotty Boland at the MCG. I think, you know, especially in that second innings on, when was it, day 2? I think, you know, England first.
You're probably right. Yeah.
And then Australia made 267, which you could say, I mean, it didn't really, you know, eliminate England from the game completely. I mean, they were still in it. There was like an 80-run deficit. But my word, that in the final session, I think it was the final half hour of that match on day 2, that was some serious fast bowling that I saw there. It was really, really intimidating stuff from this Australian bowling lineup. And this England batting lineup had absolutely no answers. I think they lost 3, and then obviously the night watchman came in, Jack Leach, and he got you know, skittled over as well. And they ended up in a precarious position, I think, at around 31 for 4 or 33 for 4 towards the close. And I mean, geez, day 3, I mean, I put my TV on because I was expecting some sort of fight, but never did I realize that this match would be over in 45 minutes. Literally, that was one of the great bowling spells that I saw from Scott Boland on debut. I think he pitched the ball in the right areas, and he was unplayable at certain times. And I think you got to give credit to Mitch Starc because he really ruffled up that top order, and it gave Scott Boland a chance to just come and bowl, you know, and hit good areas. And you know, we've seen this from this England batting lineup. 1 brings 2, 2 brings 3, 3 brings 4, and just another one of those woeful batting performances and an almighty collapse in the end. And I think quite embarrassing at the moment. It's gotten to that stage where that was really an embarrassing defeat, losing by an innings at 14 runs. And I think the Aussies, as I said, the Aussies just posted 267. And I mean, if a team is posting 267 and winning the game by an innings, I mean, you're really, really behind the eight ball. And yeah, I mean, England are sliding really badly. They really are sliding really badly, and I think they got to rethink the way the county game is taking place in back home, and I think there's too much of prioritizing on the white ball cricket, and we've seen that competition, the 100, that's taking away county cricket, and I just think they're losing touch with Test cricket at the moment. Test cricket doesn't seem to be important at the moment for the ECB, and it's quite shocking to see that, because I mean, you would think England as one of those countries that really pride themselves in Test cricket and being one of the oldest Test playing nations, but they seem to have no answers to the Australian team at the moment, either with the bat or the ball. I mean, they really are falling short. I mean, I'm looking for a positive, and I think the only positive was Jimmy Anderson's spell in that Australian innings. I think he took 4 for 29, and he showed what a great operator he is. So much of control, and but yeah, I mean, it's either Joe Root makes runs, or there seems to be nothing else coming from anybody else besides Milan. So I mean, that is very shocking. It goes to show that there seems to be a lack of application from this entire batting lineup, and the planning has been dreadful. The planning has been poor from the get-go.
Yeah, man. But do you see this 5-0 whitewash finally happening? I mean, it's looking pretty bleak, eh?
I won't lie to you. It's looking quite ominous at the moment, eh? And I was listening to a clip on YouTube on Channel 9 Sports, where that Ian Chappell mentioned something, about this England side being like deer in the headlights. Especially Joe Root as captain. He's been like a sort of deer in the headlights, and their best chance obviously was in Brisbane and that overcast conditions, but they obviously decided to bat first and really backfired badly on them. So yeah, I can't say anything else but 5-0 at the moment, and unless there's some miraculous sort of fight back from this England side, and I mean, for them to win a Test match from this situation they're in, and they've really gone rock bottom at the moment. I would be surprised. It's not something that's undoable, but they just seem to have no confidence whatsoever going through this England side moment. And I mean, things are changing all the time. I mean, there's a few COVID cases that have taken place in England and Aussie camp, so we've got to wait for that. What actually goes on in the next couple of days, whether these 2 tests will be postponed. So yeah, it's not an ideal situation with the COVID situation, and England have been so poor. They haven't really given Australia much of a fight in the series at all, which is really disappointing to see from a neutral point of view. So yeah, it's looking quite ominous at the moment, hey?
Okay, so let's get to the SA versus India. I know we were having a lot of banter on WhatsApp regarding our respective sides, and well, I was happy to be on the right side of it. Interesting margin, yeah, 113 runs win. Did you expect this kind of defeat, or did you expect it to be a lot more closer to the scoreline? I mean, defeat-wise, not like scoreline. Sorry, still early days.
Yeah, I mean, 113. To be fair, this game was a little bit more competitive than that, I feel. I think that scoreline towards the end really doesn't do justice to actually what happened. But I guess where this game was lost really was on that opening day when India won the toss, and that opening partnership from Rahul and Agarwal really set the tone for this Test match. I think, and yeah, the Proteas were really poor. They were really poor in that opening day in terms of their bowling. They didn't really hit their straps. I think they were bowling short. Too many deliveries were wide off stump, and it was quite easy for the Indian batters to leave. And that really, I mean, they got better in that second session, but I mean, that opening day really just set it up for India. I feel 272 for 3, and then obviously the day was obviously washed out due to rain, and then we came back on day 3. Which was frustrating in a way because, I mean, we lost a day. But I think conditions changed there. But the Proteas really, I think they hit their straps with the bowling at that point there, especially in that first session. From 272 for 3, India collapsed to 327. Yeah, quite dramatically. And I think the Proteas, they probably thought they hadn't. They obviously had an opening in this game, but I mean, you got to give credit to the Indian bowlers. They bowled superbly in both innings in this Test match, and they kept the pressure on the Proteas batting from the get go. And I think the better side won on the day. Hey, I just feel that first innings of 327 really set the match up for India. It was a sort of. Was very difficult to first get in, and I mean you could see it. You could see it throughout the Test match. There were a few batters that really got in. I mean, just from India, and I mean KL played a superb innings, 122. I think always under pressure to perform in SA, and he showed a lot of grit and determination in that innings. And Mayank obviously a very good 50 as well. Set the tone. And then, from a Proteas point of view, I mean, although it's a loss, I mean, there are a few positives there. I think I think Temba, he played superbly in both innings. I mean, he just showed the entire batting order how to actually play on that wicket. And Elgar, obviously, that's what you're going to get from Elgar. It was a gritty knock from him, 77 in that second innings. He took the blows. He's a guy that scores ugly runs, but he's a man for the crisis as well. And he just showed the rest of the batting order how to get it done. But I mean, a little bit concerning from the Proteas in terms of the batting. I think I saw a bit of I saw some trigger movements that I wasn't really happy with. Some very funny trigger movements. Not getting into line. I think we were chasing too many deliveries outside off stump. I mean, Keegan Peterson, he's one for the future. I think he deserves more time. I think he needs to be shepherded, probably come down the order. But I think the reason why he didn't make those scores because I mean the Proteas opening pair really didn't give us much in this match at all. I think he was coming in while the ball was still swinging and seaming around. It was a red, shiny, hard ball, and it's difficult. It's difficult for a young player to just come in and be able to play freely. He got a good ball in the second innings. And, he looked good. But I do feel he needs to be shepherded, but probably a little bit put him a bit down the order. And I really think personally a guy like Temba can bat at number 3 or number 4. So I think Temba shifted up the order because Temba is always coming in when the team is in crisis, and I think it's unfair that a guy like Temba he deserves more delivery, so he can get that monkey off his back and score more centuries, because I feel he's always coming in with the team in crisis, and he's got to rebuild, and he's just not getting enough time to build an innings and to really convert that 50 into 100, which is actually what's hurting the side at the moment. A lot of players are not really converting those scores, and it's not all doom and gloom. I think a guy like Marco Jansen, I was very impressed with him. I think he was a find for this test match. I think he's probably the best player for the Proteas in this test match. He's bowling. I mean, he started off a little bit nervous, which is understandable. first test match, but he got so much better into this test match. And I think that second innings, he bowled beautifully, especially that ball to Kohli
Yeah.
that just it seemed away a touch and, got the outside edge. That was a beautiful piece of bowling. And, with the bat, he looked quite impressive as well. He didn't shy away from his, responsibilities. He's some very good cover drives there. So he's definitely one for the future. And I can really see him, keeping his place in the side for the next test match. But, I just want to say, India really didn't play the complete game. If you look at it, you look at the score, I think the Indian batters, some of them may be really disappointed in the way they played in this test match. I think it was a battle of the batting lineups. I think the bowling from both teams were quite impressive for most part. The Proteas, obviously, that first day, it's a day they want to forget because that really set the tone for the entire test match. But I think the batting, from both teams were probably a little loose.
Yeah. You can probably forgive India for the way they batted in the second innings because they were trying to chase the quick runs, and I think they were probably worried about the weather on day 5, even though the weather was awesome on day 5. So that was nice. And it's nice that you praised Jansen because I know at the beginning you were kind of like cursing him. Why wasn't Olafia playing? But I have a feeling Jansen can play instead of Mulder and Olafia can come in. So I think it could work for the next test match. I think that's in Wanderers, so that could be fun, eh? And also, it's India's happy hunting ground, so it's all for them to take, I guess. Unless it's a bit of a, I don't want to depress you, but I think it's India's to lose, I guess, if you're looking at opportunities to make history, that is.
Yeah, look, we're not shying away from it at the moment. India are definitely favorites for the series. But I think, probably, I think a lot of people were expecting Olivier to play. But I think we understood after the reasons came about on day 2 as to why he missed the test match, because I think he would have been a different starter. But, he's got to play the Wanderers, definitely. Olivier has got to play the Wanderers. And, I can see I can see the Proteas going with a full pace attack at the Wanderers because there hasn't been much assistance for spin bowlers in the past, and it's really been a ground that's helped the quicks. So I can really see that happening. And Jansen, I think he's really causing a lot of headaches for the selectors, and I think he's made himself undroppable for the next test. So I would pick him and probably drop a guy like Mulder, and for obviously Olivier. And I think if you drop Mulder, in a way, you could probably go with a 7-4 split where you could actually play an extra batter. And I actually love that because I think, Verreynne, I can really see him starting. And I would give a chance to a guy like Ryan Rickleton, definitely. That's his home ground. He plays for the Lions and he's got a fantastic average there at that ground. I think it's around 60. So, this is a guy that knows how to play the Wanderers. It is a bit of a gamble in a way because, you're losing on experience, but this is a situation at the moment. I think you've got to go with that gamble and blood the youth, and back them for the future because things can only get better from here on. I think the Proteas are okay in terms of bowling. I think they'll be fine. I think the batting obviously is going to take time. It's going to take some time to really get fine tuned again. So I'm expecting a better showing. I'm expecting them to come back hard at the Wanderers, but. It's going to be an interesting test match, of course. India, obviously, they have an unbeaten record of the Wanderers, but, there've been some close games with the Wanderers as well between SA and India as well. So let's not forget. So, it's all set up for a fantastic test match. There's so much at stake at this one. The Proteas they want to come back hard here, really, definitely. And, India are chasing history as well. So, for the Wanderers.
Yeah, I think if Verreynne plays, you expect him to come at number 3. I think he bats at number 3, doesn't he, Verreynne? Or unless there's 24 years, yeah.
Yeah, I expect him to bat at probably 6. And the reason why I say Mulder, because, you haven't really got much from Mulder in this test match, to be honest with you. Not much with the ball and not much with the bat. So I think you can take that risk. A guy like Rickleton. I'm not sure the selectors will do that because, it's blooding two debutants. Obviously, Verena has played, but I mean, you put in another debutant in Rickleton. But I think this
Yeah.
is a time to be a little brave, you know, from a selector point of view. It's the time to blood young players, and what better series than this India series? You know, you look, it's a risk reward type of thing. I mean, you could play a guy like Ryan Rickleton, and he could come off and score 60 or 70, and you could win the match.
Yeah.
Look, definitely, I see that Wander's pitch being really, it'd be very difficult. I think probably a little bit more difficult than what we saw at Centurion. So I think whoever scores 100 in that test match for their team is probably going to go on and win that test match. So runs are going to be hard to come by in that test match, and I think both bowling lineups are going to be are really going to go full tilt to try and win this. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating, but I do feel the Proteas should go that 7-4 split, 4 quicks, and play 7 specialist batsmen.
But then hold on a second. So we have Jansen keeps his place instead of, we're going to say Mulder, and then you'll have Olafia coming in, and then, oh yeah, that means we'll need to take out Keshav, unless, I'm getting so confused now about this whole selection. Actually, let's make this more simple mathematically. Okay.
I would Keshav for
oh yeah, got it. Oh yeah.
I think there's going to be more systems for him in case.
Yeah, you see Olafia for Mulder, and then if you take out Keshav, then you can put in that Rickleton guy. I guess that works. You could do that actually.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a straight swap. You can say Maharaj for Olivier, and then you've got Mulder for Rickleton, because Rickleton will probably bat at number 7.
Oh,
so yeah, it's a straight swap there. So I would go with that 7-4 split. I wouldn't really care about a debutant. I think he's waited his time, and I think this is a perfect opportunity with the Kock. I mean, not being in the setup any longer in the test match arena. I think it's time that the Proteas have a give a guy like Rickleton a chance, and let's see what he's made of. I mean, he's got a record in domestic circuit, and Mulder, unfortunately, he's got to go back and work on his game, and come back a better player, and he's got to fight for his place. So
I think
this is
Alga will, I was thinking that Alga will do the spinning duties if there has to ever be spin in Joburg. He'll do like.
I doubt that's going to happen. I honestly doubt. I think your quick bowlers can take 20 wickets on that track there. No doubt about it. Both teams, the quicks can easily take 20 wickets on that track there. There'll be no need for spinners. So
you think
that is why I go with the base attack.
Yeah. So you think India's going to drop Ashwin, or do you think Lord Thakur will retain his place? I think some experts were saying that Shami will probably come in for Thakur, or do you think they'll play the same team?
Sorry, did you say Shami or Sharma?
Yeah.
Shami.
No, Ishan Sharma for. No, Ishan Sharma for. Yeah, Ishan Sharma for Thakur. I think they were saying something like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could potentially drop Ashwin and play Ishan Sharma, or you could go the other way and drop Thakur for Ishan Sharma. So either way, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if India going with a full pace attack as well, and drop Ashwin. But I mean, Ashwin is one of those spinners that can obviously work his magic on any wicket. So especially against some inexperienced Proteas batters at the moment. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop him. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they retain him. So, it's going to be a fascinating sort of selection dilemma. But honestly, looking at this Indian side, I wouldn't think they would want to change much, because, I mean, this is a side that won the first test. Why change a winning team? So I honestly think they would go in with the same team. To be if I was really going to be brutally honest with you, I would think they go in the same team. It's the Proteas that obviously needs to make changes because they obviously chasing the result, and I expect them to make some hard calls here, and it's all about getting the results at the end of the day.
Yeah, but if India did make a change in the batting, I think they'll probably change up Pujara and put either Vihari or put in that guy that plays in the A team. I forget his name, Priyank or something like that. So that would be interesting to watch.
Yeah, look, potentially, I think if they lost the first test, they probably would have done that. But I think, the team is winning at the moment, so why change it? I mean, just give the guy another chance. I'm sure he can come good sooner or later. So I think they probably just pick the same team at the moment. So I don't see any changes. I think the Proteas team is probably going to be making those changes. I mean, the obvious one is Olivier and Olivier and Verena, and I'd love to see Rickelton. As I'm saying, I'd love to see Rickelton in the side. I think it's been a long time that the Proteas have actually played 7 specialist batters, and I would love to see Rickelton in the side. I think he's going to add a lot of value to the squad going forward.
Okay. On a final note, I think this record will make you feel better. As they have come back from 1-0 down against India, I think it was when Sreesanth helped India get the first test I think it was in Joburg, I think. Or was it in Joburg or Centurion? I don't know. I think it was probably in Joburg. Yes, I remember it was in Joburg.
It was well, Sreesanth was unplayable in that test match, and he skipped all the Proteas out for 84 in that first innings, and it was a long way back for them. So that was a famous win for India. I think they're first in this in SA at that time. So
then SA won in Durban, then SA won in Durban, then Cape Town.
It's hard to play for.
Yeah. No, so what I'm trying to say is that SA have come back from these starts. It's not like it's all doom and gloom, but do you really see it happening again? Do you really see it happening, if you have to be honest with yourself, in terms of, or do you think it's India's time to create history?
Look, I wouldn't write it off at the moment. Anything's possible. And SA actually, they do play well in Cape Town because if they can get the result in Joburg at the Wanderers, they do play well in Cape Town. They have an excellent record against India at Cape Town. So there's no reason why they can't turn this around. But I mean, at the moment, it's very good to have a 1-0 lead in the series, and I think it's India's to lose at the moment. I think if Kohli doesn't get this one done, I think he'll be really disappointed.
Yeah.
And I think it's Dean Elgar is going to do all he can to make sure that Kohli doesn't go home back to India as a hero. So it's all to play for. It's all to play for in the series.
Yeah, and it's kind of exciting because it starts on Monday. So this is going to be pretty delicious. And
absolutely.
Do you think toss is going to play a factor, or do you think it'll be a much more fairer pitch? Because I thought in this match, I think the one who won the toss in batted first probably had it all set up. Do you think it's going to be much more fairer in terms of toss?
Look, the toss is definitely going to be key. The toss is definitely key. Yeah, definitely. I think runs on the board is really, really important, especially in a must-win test. So I think if the Proteas actually win the toss, I think bat first, get those runs on the board, and then you dictate the game. I think if you can get 300 on that wicket, I think it's going to go a long way to winning that game. I think 300 is really going to be a winning score that Wanderers pitch, because it's one of the most difficult pitches in the country. And it's a sort of it's not a happy hunting ground at the moment for for teams that actually playing the Lions, because the Lions are winning all the games at the Wanderers, and Dwayne Olivier has been superb there. He's taken 28 wickets in test matches, so he's going to be relishing playing on his home turf, and I expect him to come good in that test match.
Do you think that's going to be as nasty as the last Wanderers, or do you think it'll be like the one in the Australian series, where I thought it was a lot better? I thought it was a much more fairer pitch, the one that is he beat Australia on.
I don't expect it to be that nasty, like the last Indian test match there. I also don't expect it to be that good as the one against Australia. So I expect it to be a little bit in between. I expect it to be more pitch that we saw last year against the Sri Lankans. So that's the sort of pitch I'm expecting at the Wanderers.
Okay. All right. I guess that's pretty much a wrap, and I shall see you on the other side.
Happy New Year to you, Sid, and enjoy.
Thank you.
Cheers.